Alright, we are going to start testing our recording system, Tegrity, and hopefully use the syllabus as an example. So, if you look at our home page under Blackboard, go along the left-hand column and click Course Documents, you'll find our syllabus right here. And so I've opened it in another screen over here, and as you can see, alright, there are some items I'd like for us to cover quickly. So items in red are things that are going to almost certainly be removed from our content. Purple, they will likely be removed. Green items are things I want to highlight that you yourselves must complete throughout our course. And then the yellow items are just things that are important to note. So obviously you know our course is Math 1080. Math for Social Justice. We are going to Australia. My email, as all of you have, is right here. It's important to remember that I reserve the right to amend the syllabus if necessary. I don't think it will be necessary, but just as a warning. So, course description, that sort of stuff, suggested texts. This one is free, available online. Most of the items we will discuss will be coming from my notes and or videos I post. One thing here I want to mention that's important is our course goal. The overarching goal of this course is for you to develop the ability and inclination to question numbers and how to use mathematics to understand and improve the world around you. All right, we are going to be engaging in a lot of discussion together via Blackboard and in person, especially when we're in Australia. We want to develop this ability and inclination to question numbers and to seek out truth, and the truth that quantitative data often possesses, but is often misused to misrepresent. As you go through course topics, quantitative literacy is sort of our main theme throughout the course, and we will be covering many different areas. We come down to financial mathematics. I've crossed out home mortgages and investments. We simply will not have time to do what I was hoping to do with that. Voting methods is something that I think is very interesting. You will have to read something on it, but whether or not we have any sort of assessment on it is unlikely at this point. One thing I do want to mention is the reading in the news item here in our sort of our outcomes. One of the things that we're going to do each week is that you will be asked to bring an article forward, and we will all read each other's articles via Blackboard. They will be posted and read on Blackboard, and you'll be asked to comment on them. And the goal is to drive conversation and get used to seeing quantitative data and information presented and being able to cut through the BS and understand exactly what is going on and develop that ability and inclination to question numbers. The grade distribution is something you want to come down to, but blog posts and journals are something that you are going to have to do. We'll talk about it a little later, and then I'll talk about it via emails as well later. You come down to grades and stuff, things, for example, C represents median expectations, so on and so forth. Quizzes and exams are closed books and closed notes. All right. If you are pushing yourself, if you're engaging in our course, if you're contributing into dialogue and to developing these abilities and habits, I don't expect anyone to have any issues with this course. However, there will be some assignments, and I'm asking that you take those assignments as closed book and closed notes. The reason is that I want to be able to assess what we do and don't understand. All right? And I want to be able to then drive conversation and future discussion assignments based on that. So you are expected to uphold our honor code. In terms of participation homework, it's outlined clearly, expectations there. One thing I will say is if you've had me before or if you've just met me, I've probably talked to you about what I consider the best way to achieve deeper understanding, and that's to force yourself to teach and explain the material. It's why we're going to be so discussion driven. All right, one reason is because I want you all to be explaining to each other and to me, all right, why you are saying what you're saying. Just dividing two numbers is not real world mathematics. Understanding what we should divide by what, as well as what the consequence of that division represents. In other words, are these policies good? Are these structures by nature perpetuating inequality? Those are questions that we are going to tackle. That is deeper understanding in this course. One of the things we will do as we are in Australia is we will have discussion topics, meetings together, and in one of those meetings along the way, you will be in charge of leading a discussion topic. And so here I've outlined some of the expectations for that. I will give you more details on Blackboard as well, but you will be asked to lead our group in this discussion. And I'm going to expect you to do some light research in the sense of gathering some data, evidence, and it can spawn from a New York Times article or whatever, but the goal is for us to seek out more information and really chase threads a little bit and understand things from a quantitative viewpoint. Your journal, the expectations there I think are fairly clear. I'll give you some more details about the possibilities for what you can enter, but they will be entering while we are on the trip. You cannot do these beforehand. And then Math in the News blog post, kind of something that was highlighted earlier. Again, in our discussion boards on Blackboard, you will have a discussion board link for the content of the week where I expect you to comment or ask questions to my discussion questions that are throughout the notes we'll be going through and activities we'll be going through, as well as there is a discussion board forum for our articles. That is where I expect you to not only post but to be commenting on our articles. And laid out for us is the time in which those things are going to be due. And then I've also included a link in terms of blog grading parameters, a rubric for us. And just a comment that I've stolen from people who've stolen from people. The learning that happens in our course is going to depend completely on your level of contribution. All right? We are in this sort of aggressively paced course that is going to take place in part on a different continent. All right, so I want us to cover as much as possible beforehand, but I also need you to be contributing regularly and in a meaningful way. It's quite obvious and quite evident if you aren't. It's not easy to fade into the background, and I don't expect that from many of you, but I want to make sure from the get-go you understand that you are expected to be an equal contributor to this class. We are going to challenge each other. We are going to ask difficult questions because we can't really attain new knowledge, all right, and can't really develop as critical thinkers without being able to question ourselves and the information that we're presented with. We are going to hone our ability to do that from a quantitative, mathematical viewpoint. We want to analyze, and we want to be able to contribute and better our world, understand inequality, and understand what options and paths we have to correct it, rid ourselves of it. Outside of that, everything else here is fairly template, or boilerplate, whatever it's called, in terms of expectations and authorship, declaration, consequences of doing stuff that are frowned upon by myself and the university. And if you have any accommodations that you need or will request for this course, please just talk to me as soon as possible. All right, so the testing of our first video is done. Remember to familiarize yourself with the syllabus. There will be more information up in terms of our first activity, and over the weekend I expect to put up our first assignment and that sort of stuff and really hit the ground running. Get as much out to you as possible or as early as possible. All right, this is Brad, out.